Should you upload your YouTube videos to Spotify's new video podcast feature? Basically to Spotify Video. There are three major ways this can go. The first one, you just use Spotify Video as an additional platform. How this actually works out in practice is this. Spotify has a host, a podcasting host, which is basically the backend where you can upload your podcasts to Spotify. And what in there you can do is you upload the whole video files. In the past, what you could already do is you could upload your video files, and therefore you didn't have to convert your video files into audio files if you, for example, have normal YouTube videos, and then convert it on Anchor automatically into the audio that is required for the audio podcasting platforms. But now, additionally, what is possible is to upload the video and also to have the video be watchable on Spotify. But Spotify is the only platform that currently enables you to watch podcasts. So enables creators to actually upload the video files and also transmits the the video files to then Spotify. Now, the first big option is to just treat Spotify Video as a YouTube copy. So therefore, all the videos you would upload to YouTube, also in the past, you just upload to Spotify. The problem is this. If you upload a video that requires a visual element, any explainer video, for example, then you have a problem if then Anchor goes through the video files, converts them into audio and sends them, for example, to Apple Podcasts. Because then on the other end, there will be people that will listen to a video, for example, where you talk about this here. And if you take this here and put it in here, then this here is above and behind me, what you can see behind me. What you are probably realizing is that if we show something on video, which is not narrated or translated into an audio description, then you have a problem if you listen to the whole thing. So therefore, the first option is only if you go Spotify exclusive when it comes to the podcast. This means you are actually bypassing and not using the Anchor functionality to also distribute audio of the same files to all the major podcasting platforms, which would be an additional traffic source. Which leads us to the second option, which I am realizing right now, I think is the only option that is left. Basically, the option, if you still want to upload to Spotify Video, your video podcast, the only thing left you can do, if you additionally also want to have the same things as audio episodes, you have to go through your YouTube catalog. And if you don't have a YouTube catalog already, then you have to produce videos in a way that are not visually based, or that don't require, again, the visual element for the processing of the information that is displayed in the video. A video like this, for example, where I don't show anything, but I explain everything with my voice, is therefore suitable. And this is also the reason the normal interview style, Joe Rogan podcast, can be also consumed as audio. Because unless someone pulls something up from the internet and they talk about it like, oh yeah, that's this, that's this, you don't require the visual element for understanding of the whole thing, for the understanding of the information that is transmitted. So therefore, the only option that is left is to now either only produce videos which don't have a visual element, which has the side effect that these videos probably will do less good on the normal video platforms, since the more visually engaging a video is, and therefore also visually requiring for the understanding of the information, the more engaging a video also usually is. And this again is why YouTube video podcasts probably don't do as well as something which has more cuts and is visually more appealing and has stock footage or any footage at all, which is not just people speaking. So the first option, therefore, is to record in a way where you don't have the visual element as a necessity for the understanding of the information. And the second one is, if you already have YouTube videos, which I am currently in the process of, then you go through. So I'm currently in the process of going through these videos and just seeing which of these are talking head videos. And a decision rule for me is this. If I have videos, so basically I have three styles of longer videos. The first one is just a talking head video. And if I don't have something in my hands, if it's not a review of something, then, and what you just witnessed is me having an additional element without describing it as audio, therefore making it compatible to both platforms. Because you have the additional element, but you don't talk about the additional element. Therefore, there is not the feeling of being left out of the visual element. So what I'm currently going through, literally, is I go through all of my 3 different video types. And the first one is me showing something on my phone while speaking to the phone behind the camera, basically, and also occasionally just turning the camera. And these kind of videos, most of these don't work. And therefore, it makes sense to make it into a rule that these kind of videos just don't make it to video podcast. The second one is, so the first one is the talking head. This was the second one. And the third one are screen recordings. So basically, I'm reviewing sometimes apps on my phone, or also I'm pulling stuff up from the internet. And because I'm screen recording, you guessed it already, the visual element is probably required, and there will probably in almost every video be a point where you don't understand something because there is a visual element that's missing if you listen to the whole thing on audio. Additionally, theoretically, I have a 4th format. And the 4th format is short video, which is not really a format because it's just a video length. But since podcasts are something you listen to and you cannot easily change the whole thing, like on TikTok if you swipe to the next short video, therefore I think at this point in time, short podcasts, and therefore also short audio, and therefore also short video that you theoretically could upload to Anchor and then distribute it at the same time as video and audio, are also something that's just not suitable, I think, at this point in time. Apart from the 3 styles of video I just described, I also have 4 types of video. And this, again, I think makes it easy, makes it simple. I thought quite some time about having maybe multiple channels, for example, where I have the longer episodes like this and then cut it into clips. But what I realized is that the only clips I needed to cut were short video. Therefore, the short is the first of the 4 content types I have. The second one is basically a video that's either a talking head video, a video like this where I just show things, or a screen recording. But it's almost always me talking, maybe pausing the video in between in order to avoid editing completely. Sometimes I have to merge 2 videos if the battery of my phone dies. But since I'm also recording everything on my phone, this also means I always have a camera in my pocket and I'm always ready to record in the same quality. Even though that's not red camera quality, it's the same quality I have for all my videos. And I have to say, I am quite compelled by the quality of something like this, of a recording like this. If you have decent lighting, if you have an external microphone, why not? Then I have scripted episodes where I basically write a blog post or write the script and then publish it as a blog post and I screen record the whole thing. I also thought about talking to camera, but since I'm reading, it would be kind of difficult to implement it. Maybe I will in the future change it from a screen recording. But the problem, so from a screen recording to a talking head video, but the problem again is in a blog post, you have the option to have something that's visually appealing and therefore also sometimes visually necessary. If you, for example, have a graph, a hockey stick curve, for example, talking heads is not something that's very plausible. Because again, it requires the visual element of the blog post. And the 4th format is a format I haven't really started with, which is interviewing people. So basically talking head video, but with somebody else, which is then a classic video podcast, because it's not just a podcast anymore, but it also works as an audio-only podcast since it's kind of talking head, just with 2 people, and usually not requiring any visual information additionally, or at least be sufficient, so the audio is sufficient for understanding. And these are the 4 formats I have planned and already am implementing. And now, the easy decision criteria. Out of these 4 format types, the first one, the short video, just doesn't go on Spotify. The second one, which is also showing the middle finger to you right now, is the video where I just talk in these different formats again, but just recording formats. Me talking, me on my phone showing my studio or something like this, or in a city showing attractions or sites. So this is the second format. And since I usually, so out of the second format, only the talking head versions go onto Spotify because only these are available as podcasts. This also means whenever I have talking head, which is additionally beneficial, I have good audio recording. Whereas if I'm on my phone, sometimes I have my Rode Lavalier Go connected to my phone and I'm recording, but sometimes still I just use the internal mic of my phone, which is still not good, and I therefore also recently purchased the Lavalier Go in order to avoid having low audio quality videos, which then would prevent me or act as an additional constraint in order for me to not being able to upload it as a video podcast. And now the fourth type, the scripted episodes are made as a podcast. This was my initial podcast. I started out writing these things for the blog and then searching for an option where I could basically have the same content be available on all platforms in different media formats. This meant I call the blog something that's visual. A newspaper is also something that's visual. So you have the visual, and over time you process it. This is called reading. This is called reading a blog post, basically. If you now add audio to the whole thing, if you add audio to something that's visual, you have video. So now the idea was I would write in a way that it was accessible as audio, and the blog posts pictures are only something that's additional. But when it comes to then recording these for YouTube, I just still go with the screen recording. Format 3, the blog post, which I call just blog post or code because it's scripted and code is also scripted, also is basically made for podcast. And these were my initial episodes. If you listen to any of my podcasts, it simultaneously lives on the blog. It simultaneously is theoretically a YouTube script that I could then visually enhance with drawings and things like these if I ever want to actually go into video editing and not just record everything as on the camera or everything in camera. So basically these are also good for podcasts. And the fourth and final format, the interview, is made for podcast. Therefore, the interview goes onto the podcast. The blog as an audio and video version goes onto the blog, not the blogcast, the video podcast and also the audio podcast. From the talking videos where I just talk, whether it's a screen recording, whether it's me running around with a phone or talking head, only the talking head go onto the podcast, and the shorts also don't go onto the podcast. Therefore, I have two formats which are natively podcast, which is the interview and also the blog post. And additionally, I chose the YouTube videos where that are considered normal YouTube videos where I just talk, that are just out of the ones that I have on YouTube, I chose the ones that are just talking head and therefore don't require a visual element. And this is how you decide, in summary, whether a video should go onto a video podcast or just live on YouTube, also on Facebook Watch and on Instagram TV as a video.